While you and the other two men waited, drank, and ate in the guest house, did you at any point get emotional or ask the guest house manager and attendants where your wife and her man were?
Under this type of circumstance, emotions are better bottled up if one wishes to achieve anything. If one betrays any emotion, the guest house officials will inform my wife and the man that they were being monitored and they could escape through the back door, and one would achieve nothing.
It is really very strange for a man to know that his wife and another man were inside a room at that moment and you still controlled your temper. Is it because you were shocked or lacked the moral courage to confront her because of your sense of guilt for having done the same thing several times against her?
Well, I tried to maintain a neutral face while we waited, but inside me, I was hotter than a combustion chamber. It is not quite easy for any man to tolerate what was going on even if you were guilty of the same crime. However, though I was shocked because ordinarily my wife outwardly projected an image of innocence, I was partially happy because I was succeeding in achieving an aim. I wanted to catch her first in a crime I suspected she might soon catch me in. However, the pains I felt when I saw my wife with another man made me imagine the type of agony my wife will pass through if she sees me with her friend in a similar condition.
Sir, we would want you to continue with the confession.
When they eventually came out after an hour and a half, we emerged from the obscure corner we were staying. As they saw us, my wife slumped and the man took to his heels and abandoned his car. We quietly took my wife to the hospital where she regained consciousness. I felt that I needed to protect what remained of my wife's public image and no one uttered a word in the hospital, but my wife sobbed continuously. Since I paid off the taxi when my two witnesses arrived, the secret of the incident remained with the four of us apart from the officials of the guest house who were confused. When we left the hospital, my wife's lover went to the two men I invited originally as witnesses. 3 of them came to my house for a resolution of the issue.
You mean the culprit had the courage to start coming to your house? Do you think he felt you were a weakling and therefore capitalized on that to the point of having the courage to come to the house of a man he has been exploiting his wife?
I must let you understand that to secretly enter another man's farm and harvest his crops does not make anyone a warrior. But if that defines a warrior, then I am a warrior. What happened was that the culprit first sent my 2 witnesses to me to prepare ground for their visit, and I welcomed them when they eventually came.
Thank you, sir. Please continue with the confession.
Before the arrival of the 3 men to my house, my wife had already given me more details about her exploits with the man. Her being unreservedly frank about her past and her promise not to attempt such again in her life affected me. I verified her details with what her best friend told me and they were the same.
Did you, perchance, contemplate at the peak of your shock, disappointment, and anger over her conduct to divorce her?
I didn't contemplate and never had the intention to divorce her because I was as guilty as herself, and above all, I loved her quite greatly. I only wanted to know her properly. I also wanted to protect myself in case she discovered later in the future that I dated other ladies, and as a culprit, she wouldn't have the courage to raise her voice against me.
Finally, what happened to the relationship between you and your wife as a consequence of the foregoing?
The respect and trust I had for my wife reduced drastically, and her happiness was no longer a thing of importance to me. The usual mutual trust and joy in our home vanished. Though we still lived together, the marriage was stale and tasteless.
Please, sir, as an experienced man, I would like you to advise us on infidelity based on your knowledge.
If I casually or emphatically tell you to desist from any form of infidelity, it means that my knowledge of the power of thoughts and the senses is inadequate. The thought can bring about infidelity by dwelling on some conversations, pictures, etc. In most cases, the senses, particularly the sense of sight, can draw your attention to what your thoughts feed on. To overcome both the senses and thoughts in this circumstance, you must make a resolution. Your resolution must be anchored on what you revere, cherish, or fear. Those who have a fear of God revere their religious injunctions of holiness. The moralist, like the religionist, cherishes right behaviors. Even the atheist can be a moralist and naturalist. He fears violating natural laws. So when your eyes or thoughts take you to that, then you will have something to anchor on to resist the evil of infidelity.
Thank you, sir. You have been very scholarly, frank, and exhaustive in these confessions. From all indications, you have repented from the patronage of infidelity. Whether your adventure into the life of your wife's best friend in order to know your wife's secrets has proved beneficial or not to your family is for you and the public to judge.